Hey, what's going on, gang? Nate on the Stone here. Welcome back to my channel. Well, it has finally happened. A man has died because of the insurrection that is happening within our country. His name was Danielson, and he was a member of the conservative libertarian group Patriot Prayer, which was founded in 2016 by former Washington State Senate candidate Joey Bishop. Danielson was part of the Patriot Prayer caravan, as it's being described in the New York Times, which marched through downtown Portland, Oregon, to show some support for President Trump and America, and it clashed several times with BLM and Antifa groups there. Portland, I may remind you, is a city that has seen protests, read violent insurrectionary demonstrations every consecutive night for the last 3 months. And it was in one of these altercations between Patriot Prayer and BLM/Antifa that Danielson was actually shot and later died. Now, to be completely fair, Danielson is not technically the first person to die because of the insurrections. Retired St. Louis PD Captain Daniel Dorn was shot in the head when he attempted to stop looters in St. Louis, Missouri. Cannon Hinnett is the 5-year-old boy who was executed by his 25-year-old black neighbor in South Carolina. What makes Danielson different, however, is that he is the first counter-protester to BLM and Antifa to actually be shot dead. In other words, a man who was doing nothing more than exercising his First Amendment right to peacefully assemble has been killed because he was assembling against the wrong thing. I remind you at this point too, gang, that the First Amendment right to peacefully assemble is the excuse that Antifa BLM defenders have used to justify their actions. What was even more chilling, however, was the reaction from Black Lives Matter and Antifa members, with insurrectionists loudly declaring that they were not effing sorry that a fascist had been killed in Portland, to great wild cheers from the crowd.
Y'all are not angry, you're not paying attention! If y'all are not angry, you're not with me! Everybody needs to realize what's going on in these streets. Our community can hold its own without the police. We can take out the trash on our own. I am not sad that a fucking fascist died tonight.
Throughout all this, Ted Wheeler, the mayor of Portland, the governor of Washington State, have done nothing. And neither has President Trump. To be sure, earlier this summer, President Trump tried to help by sending federal agents to Portland, especially after the Mobocrats made it a nightly goal to burn down the federal courthouse in that town. The left, predictably enough, wove a narrative in which these mostly peaceful protests only became violent after these federal agents arrived. Federal agents who decided to attack peaceful protesters for no reason and without any just cause. It was also argued on the left that the federal government had absolutely no business sending agents to Portland because this was a clear violation of the 10th Amendment. And so after extracting a promise from the mayor and the governor to protect federal property, which you would think would just be a basic job requirement, the Trump administration recalled the federal agents from Portland. Now, the argument that the administration made for this decision was that the federal government only has jurisdiction over federal property. Other pieces of property, whether it's public or private, is the jurisdiction of local and state authorities, which is why it was so important, the administration said, for these municipal and state authorities to actually step up to the plate, protect property, and to bring back law and order in their vicinities. And many conservative commenters have backed the president on this decision, arguing that if Trump did anything without the blessing of local and state authorities, then the narrative on the left would be, predictably, that he was acting as a fascist dictator, which would not exactly be the best thing when we are 60 days from a presidential election. That excuse, weak as it was from the very start, is now completely bogus. Contemporary American conservatism sees itself as the inheritor and the defender of the U.S. Constitution, whether we're talking about the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fifth Amendment, 10th Amendment, or even the basic premises of the Constitution, the separation of powers between the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, and the separation of powers between the federal, state, and local authorities, i.e. federalism, this is seen as the primary job of the American conservative movement. And it's a noble goal and a necessary job, to be sure, but dare I say it? Dare. In focusing so much on the details of the Constitution, we have completely neglected defending the spirit of the Constitution. I understand that talking about the spirit of the Constitution might raise some hackles. It feels a little bit too close to the idea of the living Constitution that the left has championed and trumpeted for decades now. The idea which, FYI, allowed them to legalize abortion, flag burning, and also gut the idea of marriage for the carrion crows. But the fact is, there is a spirit of the Constitution, and like any spirit, or soul, if you will, this spirit is what animates the Constitution, gives it life, and is the entire reason for its existence. And this spirit, conveniently enough, is found in the Constitution's preamble, which, like the Declaration of Independence, used to be memorized by American school children across the fruited plains, but which now, more often than not, has simply been chucked aside, in this particular case, for the details of the Constitution, especially the amendments. But just for reminder's sake, this is what the preamble says. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Those 52 words, yes, I counted them, which I know officially makes me a nerd. Thank you very much for telling me. Give us all the reasons why the Constitution was drafted, debated, and ratified between the years 1786 and 1789. And the best part is that those reasons are not subtle or mysteries by any stretch of the imagination. Establish justice. Alexander Hamilton, who, historical tidbit, was the only New York delegate at the Constitutional Convention to actually sign the Constitution, said in Federalist number 51, quote, "Justice is the end of government. It is the end of civil society." The reason being is that without justice, you can't have government or civil society. A government that deals in injustice is a tyranny and doesn't deserve the name of government. And a civil society that does not make justice as its telos, as its end goal, is a civil society that is on the quick path to suicide. Domestic tranquility, i.e. peace, so that we can strive for genuine human flourishing based on our essence as human beings, which is done by distributing justice through the enforcement of good laws against the people who break said laws. Common defense, which goes right along with peace, but is instead focused on the enemies of peace outside of a country's borders. Promote the general welfare, which is another way of saying defending the common good, i.e. what is genuinely good for every single person because of the fact that they are human beings. The blessings of liberty. It's actually kind of funny that Americans today, on the left and the right, make liberty the end-all and be-all. It's our raison d'etre, but according to the Constitution, it's actually the last fruit of the Constitution, because the framers understood, and what we have forgotten today, is that you can't have genuine liberty or freedom if justice, peace, and the common good are all shucked out of the window. That is the spirit of the Constitution, and it is that spirit that the insurrectionists today are shredding on a daily basis. Since George Floyd died of a drug overdose, and not Derek Chauvin kneeling on his neck, as was originally surmised, we have seen looting, pillaging, and burning. We have seen people assaulted in broad daylight on the streets. We have seen individuals screamed at to show their solidarity with Black Lives Matter. We have seen neighborhoods invaded by thugs and the people in their homes harassed. We have seen people defending themselves and their property painted as villains. Hell, we've even seen full-on secession. And the local authorities in Portland, Seattle, DC, San Francisco, Minneapolis, St. Louis, New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta have done absolutely nothing. Ted Wheeler, the aforementioned gutless mayor of Portland, for example, blamed Trump for Aaron Danielson's death, saying that Trump was responsible for the climate of hate that had led to the confrontation between Patriot Prayer and Black Lives Matter / Antifa. Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, has forbidden insurrectionists from protesting in her neighborhood, but has failed to stop the mob anywhere else in her city. Diana Becton, the DA for Costa County, California, publicly declared that police have to take into consideration that maybe looters actually needed the things that they stole from businesses. And in doing nothing, these so-called public servants are breaking their oaths with us, the people. For example, the first part of the oath that is sworn by the mayor of Portland, Oregon, so the oath that Ted Wheeler swore when he assumed office, says this, quote, "I do solemnly affirm or swear that I will support the constitutions of the United States and of the state of Oregon and the charter of the city of Portland and its laws. I will faithfully, honestly, and ethically perform my duties as mayor." This holds true for all local and state officials. They all swear to help preserve and uphold the Constitution of the United States, which only makes sense because it's, the law of the land. So there we have it. We now live in a situation where local and state officials are breaking their oaths and therefore their pledges to the people they serve, becoming, in essence, enemies of the people. And because of this abdication of duty, justice, peace, and the common good are all being shredded, night after night after night. When a situation like this arises, it is not only the right of the president to step in and defend those elements that are necessary for civil society to even survive, it is his duty as the chief executive. To do anything else, to ignore the situation like he's been doing right now, is a violation of his oath of office, where he swore to protect, defend, and preserve the Constitution. I know the 10th Amendment and federalism. But here are 2 points to that. In the first place, the 10th Amendment isn't going to be worth a tinker's damn if the rest of the Constitution is actually shredded. You can't preserve the details of the Constitution by killing its spirit. And secondly, the president is not violating his oath of office, the Constitution, or the 10th Amendment when he steps in to fill in the gap because municipal and state officials are either unable or unwilling to fulfill their oaths to the people. But Nate, if Trump does anything right now, the left will paint him as a fascist. But the thing is, gang, the left would do this no matter what Trump said or did. Trump could come out in full support of BLM and Antifa, and he would still be a fascist in their eyes. And they would still use that argument up to Election Day. I've said it before, and I'll say it again here. The best man for the job of the president isn't the man who can create the most job, cut the most regulations, lower the most taxes, or give the most money to the military. It is instead the man who can best preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. If Trump wants to make the case that he is still the best man for that job, then he is actually going to have to fulfill his oath and step in and help these communities that are going up in flame, instead of waiting for an invitation that is never going to happen. To do anything else, for whatever reason, would be nothing short of cowardice. But as usual, what say you? Is Trump playing 3D or 4D chess by waiting for Ted Wheeler and Lori Lightfoot to ask the federal government and his administration for aid in putting down these insurrections? Or is it actually a violation of his oath of office as President of the United States? As always, let me know your thoughts, ideas, and opinions in the comment box below. Well, that about wraps up everything for right now, gang. Before you go, if you could give the video a like, share it with your friends on social media, I would be very much obliged. And if you like videos about the culture, politics, and religion from a unique POV, then subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications and never miss another video, which I post here every week. As always, thank you for watching, for giving me a little bit of your day. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you all. And until next time, gang, stay safe, stay free, by daring to read, think, speak, and write. I will talk to you soon. Ciao.